So the new DCU is now in full swing, and the most recent project on the docket is Peacemaker Season 2, a sequel season to a show that existed in the old DCEU and has since been retconned into the new James Gunn-led universe. It's been a few years, but the gang is finally back. John Cena, Eagly, James Gunn's wife, Economos, Adebayo, that guy from the Half-Blood Prince, they're all here for one last season. Maybe, probably, still not sure about that, but for now, it's looking like 2 is all we're gonna get, folks. So how is it? Is James Gunn still out here cooking? Yes. Now, this season is not perfect, and I don't think it's quite as sharp or as focused as the first one. It's been a while since that first season came out, but that was one of the better live-action comic book TV adaptations I think ever made. It did that classic James Gunn thing of taking a bunch of no-name random characters no one cares about. It makes them not only likable, but in many ways even more popular and beloved than the heavy hitters in their own universe. Whatever your opinion on James Gunn, there is no denying that he has a knack for writing Z-list characters. That much is certain, and that certainly carries on in this season as well. Plot-wise, Season 2 is pretty messy and unfocused, but where it shines is the characters. It's very clear that John Cena loves the John Cena Peacemaker and all of his friends, and this season seems like just a big excuse to bring them all out one more time, plot be damned. It's a very character-focused season, so if you also enjoy watching these people just kind of hang out and have wacky adventures, you are going to love it. There's so many moments of earnest, wholesome character interactions and hilarious, insane scenarios, and these new fun characters like Tim Meadows as this HR nightmare Black Ops agent, or Michael Rooker as a crazy eagle hunter. All the typical James Gunn emotion and fun is on full display here in a way that feels very personal to him. Not to the point where he's literally self-inserting into the story or anything, though anytime Peacemaker talks about music, that is just a direct mouthpiece for James Gunn to talk about his favorite bands. Like, he literally just films his favorite bands in the finale of this show to the point where it takes up like 10-ish minutes of screen time of just James Gunn filming his favorite bands IRL. Gotta respect it, but you know, maybe you can just leave that part out of it, James. The season felt like his one-for-me deal at WB. He got the ball rolling with Superman, and now he's cashing in that goodwill to make a second season to a show that really does not need to exist for this new DCU to work. Now, to be clear, I'm glad this season does exist, and it fits in just fine to what we've seen so far with Creature Commandos and Superman, but this is clearly a non-essential property and likely would not exist if Gunn wasn't in the head chair over at DC. All this to say, it results in a pretty vibes-based, chill season of TV. The value of it is, again, just hanging out with these characters. So what does that mean for the actual content of the show? Well, if you were expecting something along the lines of what we got in Season 1, or just something a bit more, I don't know, meaty, something that can get the YouTube nerds theorizing for a few years, you're probably gonna be let down a little bit. Like I said, the plot is a bit of a mess. I mean, it works for what it's trying to do, which is mostly just cutting to the core of these characters and exposing their emotions. It works as a great vessel for that, especially for Peacemaker himself, but it felt like the actual plot points never got a chance to really be played out or explored to their full potential. Something really interesting would start to unfold and it either wouldn't get resolved or would wrap up in a kind of quick, unsatisfying way. I mean, the big example of this is the alternate universe they go to, which turns out to be a universe where Nazi Germany won World War II, a thing that on its face is super interesting and could lead to all kinds of different, unique, fun scenarios, especially with superheroes also in the mix. What we get, though, is mostly a bunch of teasing and setup for very little content. Like, there's 2 or 3 whole episodes of Chris interacting with this world in some way and meeting alternate universe versions of his friends and family, and the show gives you just enough hints to know something is up. It's all really well done, but then when it comes time for the big reveal and payoff, it mostly results in a very short episode where our heroes just kind of run back to their own universe, which is admittedly what they would and should do, but it just felt a bit underbaked and underutilized. It's not like like I was expecting Man in the High Castle here or anything. I don't need a super thoughtful deep dive into this scenario in fucking Peacemaker, but a bit more payoff would be nice, or at the very least, just some lingering consequences from their time in that world. Maybe that will come true in the future with other universe Keith, but that could have just been done in this season and not been this loose thread that might not ever get resolved. And that's how a lot of things felt in season 2. Rick Flag Sr. wanting to get revenge on Peacemaker had some moments, but also felt a bit forgotten at times and eventually was sacrificed on the altar of setting up future stuff with Lex Luthor and beyond. And even Harcourt having a connection with Rick Flag Jr., while a neat idea, didn't really go anywhere that the show couldn't have already done without it. Like, she doesn't need that to be cold and distant to Chris. She already has plenty of motivation as is. It just felt like a lot of stuff was left on the cutting room floor, and the show frequently bounced from one idea to the next without fully baking any of them. A lot of stuff is lost in the shuffle, and the ending, similar to Alien Earth, is not exactly what I was hoping for. Now, I'm fine if they want to tease future stuff in these shows, that's part of the game, I get that, but the end of the show felt like it did that as opposed to actually having a satisfying ending for these characters. This is probably the last season of this show and the last time we will see most of these people for a long time and maybe ever, and the fact that so much of it is cliffhangered for future DC projects just felt a bit hollow to me. Maybe it's just me, but a Guardians 3 type wrap up I think would have worked a lot better. You can always leave room for future stuff, that's fine, but these characters I think deserved a bit more finality than they got. Now, to be clear, it's still a very entertaining show and I wouldn't call it bad or anywhere even close to that. Gunn's ability to keep these scenes interesting and fun always shines through, and nothing is ever boring, but the season is just full of these little annoyances, like how a good chunk of the episodes are like 30 minutes and some change long, which is borderline unacceptable, I think. I mean, I know TV is long past the point of having these strict run times for shows, but some level of consistency would be appreciated, okay? There is a big difference in a show like this being 30 minutes and being 45 to 50 minutes, and you really feel that when you have examples of both in the same season. A lot of these episodes feels like not much happens in them, and most of that is a result of the runtime. Through it all though, what gets you through each episode and eagerly anticipating the next, like I did, is the characters and the performances. John Cena, credit to him, is an actual good actor. At this point, I think it is more than fair to say that he has transcended the WWE guy in a show or a movie, and is now just a legit actor. He has some really great emotional moments in this season that he nails, and the guy just feels like a natural at this point, in a way other actors like him don't or really have to push themselves to achieve. The man's come a long way from the Fred the Movie days, and it shows. And of course, like usual, every other random actor James Gunn casts is, shocker, a great find. The man has a very sharp eye for talent, and this is no different. It's always a pleasure to see people like Tim Meadows and Robert Patrick work, so can't complain too much about it. What this show does have me thinking a lot about though is where the DCU goes from here, because I think it's fair to say that this new reboot has gotten off to a pretty good start. In the 3 projects we've gotten thus far, there is a lot of heart and charm and promise, and I'm genuinely on board for it, which is most certainly not the case with the MCU at this point. That means something. However, the 3 things we've gotten have all been James Gunn helmed projects. He's written them, he's directed much of them, it's all been his vision. The man is an absolute workhorse, and credit to him. That's impressive and commendable, and it's great. I'm glad he pumps out stuff that's quality and on time. I love that, but he can't do everything, and the next 2 things on the docket are not made by him. So the real question is, can this universe stay on course without his direct involvement in every installment? I'd like to think yes, but we just don't know. These next 2 movies and Lanterns are a very big unknown, and frankly might be what decides what kind of legs this franchise has at this point. James Gunn's name carries a certain amount of weight and trust with the general public, and that's going to work for anything that he makes, but all of these other ones, we just don't know yet. Even still though, I'm optimistic, and for a cinematic universe in the year of our Lord 2025, that is a very strong statement to make, because boy, do I not feel that way about anything else like it at this point. So hoping they can stay on course and make some fun content, because at the end of the day, your boy just wants to enjoy this stuff, and thankfully Peacemaker fills that spot just right.